Okay, if you're just finding this video, this is a plugin I made called Egret. It's a toolpath generator, digital twin, I guess, communication bridge for the UFactory robot series, so you can communicate and create toolpathing inside of Grasshopper. I have the Lite 6 and only the Lite 6, so I have not tested it with all the other robots, but I think it works. Okay, so let me go ahead and just open up Grasshopper and kind of show you the first Hello World program. Again, with Egret, you can communicate with the UFactory robots and send them live commands. We can have a digital twin. We can drag things around. Pretty much full control of the Lite 6 or UFactory robots inside of Grasshopper. And you can also do offline programming and drop your G code or Python code over to it. Again, you can watch the first video of kind of how that all plays out. So what I did, I do have a bridge connection. You type in, your IP to your robot, and I will just hit connect. You see it flew to home. That's because I have a home command connected over here, but we can send it live commands. Let me just go ahead and turn off the live motion commands to it. And I will just show you down here where we have, we can get the IP address from our robot. We can get our latency. How to stream it. So you can see our latency is, 0.2 milliseconds. There's some other things that we haven't discussed yet as far as like what mode state is. We can find out what pose it is in live. So if I bring up let's just sit here and let's just rotate J1. Let's just raise J2 a bit. Let me turn off the camera. You can see that my P2P or my axis values are in here. And I want to hit home again. Let me establish my live connection, meaning I can send it live commands. And we'll just home it again. Cool. So what it's constantly doing is whatever this latency is, it's constantly polling. Actually, it's polling the the UFactory every 150 milliseconds. It's grabbing the joint position and drawing it here in this component called stage. But like I said, we can control this live. I'm going to close the connection for right now. And I'm going to turn off this preview. So I don't have any robots shown there. But I can show you that we can kind of simulate pose before we send it. So I have a second component called stage. You see my joint positions there, and it's at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I can play with this. You can see I'm rotating it. And that's what it looks like from what that pose would look like versus sending like a coordinate system. If you don't want the view of the robot, you can turn this off and you get your joint mapping of it, like a URDF schematic of it. They're pretty lightweight models. I like to keep the full render on. But yeah. And if you don't have a Lite 6, there is this component. We'll go through all these components later. You can drop in the one you like, or maybe if you don't want to, if you want to simulate with all the other robots, like this is the Lite 6. I can go ahead and change it to a 5, a 6, a 7, and you can see that the pose is still mapped to it. The joint schematic or URDF is applied. But since I am using a Lite 6 I'm going to keep it to what I have. My connection is still open. And I do have this component called send, which is enabled to true. So again, if I move this around, yeah, we'll do that. You see I caused a collision here. This turned yellow, and it tells you which joint had a collision. So it's J3. So let me move it so it's out of collision. We'll rotate J4 a bit. 5. I do have a gripper on there at the moment, but you can see this does not have a gripper. So changing J6 is obvious, just the rotation of J6. So it's going to be hard to see inside of this view. But let's go ahead and connect to my robot. Connect. We'll go ahead and hit send. And it just moved to that pose. I can adjust the poses live. So you can see that as I was jogging, my digital twin over here updated, and my physical pose of the robot also updated. There's still a lot of components in here. I'm going to break this up to more subsections, but at least we can start seeing that how these programs are starting to build. What's the difference between a send and a jog? They're actually very, very, very similar. One just kind of has a delay to it. We can add a wait command. So if I wanted to wait, like say 5 seconds, a minute, or whatever, before it actually executes, that's what will happen. The jog does not have a wait command. So if I set send to 0, it's going to act the same. So let's go ahead and keep jog true. I'm going to change my joints. Let me just kind of jog 6. You kind of see there's also less latency. There is an inherent, I think, 100 millisecond delay I have on send, whereas jog is live. Let's see. Again, this is live to my robot. I just crashed my machine. You can see, you probably heard it as well. Yeah, there it was. So just be aware of that. To clear the command, I'm just going to hit enable robot back on the actual UI. I'll just hit back to initial pose. You'll notice that the pose over here did not update. This is because this is a manual control. And I have to reconnect. There we go. So you can see that I am back into the initial pose. My robot is an initial pose, and it's grabbing that from that live telemetry. We'll build this out more in future videos. I don't want to make like an hour-long video, but this is kind of the start of connecting to your robot for the very first time. I plan to have a video for each component, or how to use each component in a more granular, more basic, more introductory manner. But again, this is just starting to like really poke and prod at the Egret components and see how they interface with Lite 6, with UFactory robots.